What is a message that you want to give to the class of 2024?
Well, I am your librarian. So I would have to say continue to consume stories. Stories about people that are like you or different than you. And don't just read, but listen, dance, sing, and also tell your own stories.
Okay, my message to the 2024 class is keep being great, keep working hard, keep doing whatever you love doing.
What is a message that you want to give to the class of 2024?
The message I want to give to the class is the same message that they give me, and that's basically not to give up, never count yourself out. You can do things that you have no idea yet that you will accomplish.
I would like the class of 2024 to know that you started BISFA during COVID and you rocked it, and you will continue to do that because it's just who you are.
The message I give to 2024 class, buckle up.
What is a word that you would describe this year's seniors as a whole?
I'm going to tell you what pops first into my mind. Beautiful.
And what is a word that you would describe this year's seniors as a whole?
Oh, as a whole, I would say a family, because I've loved seeing all the crossovers and all the collaboration that's happened this year.
You know, I would have to say kind.
Kind and amazing people. I picked more words, I'm sorry.
Great potential. 2 words.
And finally, what was your favorite memory from the last 4 years of the 2024 class?
Well, there was maybe 2 years ago a lit lunch that I did all the lit lunches are my favorite things. But there was one where it was mostly dancers, and the dancers and I all lined up in a line and they made a dance move, and I did too, and someone took a picture, and to this day it's one of my favorite pictures. So overall, reading and sharing stories together, but that one picture.
And finally, what was your favorite memory from the 2024 class?
My favorite memory is Taylor Tuesdays, which started a few years ago, seeing everybody love Taylor Swift, even those who don't really love Taylor Swift.
And finally, what was your favorite memory from the last 4 years of the 2024 class?
I have several memories from the 2024 class because that class varied over different things, starting with the pandemic in their freshman year, watching people virtually do things interestingly on their side of the world, and then as they slowly came back into the real world, and then we finally got to have that first holiday spectacular with that group to see what it was really like to bring the whole school back together and to see that collaboration happening and know that it was still real.
My favorite memory is when you were freshmen and we did the play Romeo and Juliet, and we had some of you in the classroom, some of you on Zoom, but everybody was committed to doing it and making it fun, and you did just that.
It had to be when my sociology class, led by Manuel, Jasmine, Ella, they broke down the feud between the rappers. Oh, now I'm forgetting the rappers. Who was the feud? Mariah, help me out. Drake and Kendrick Lamar. I kind of knew who they were, but they really broke it down for me into plain terms that I could understand.
And I just want to say personally, congratulations. It's a wonderful world out there, and I'm thrilled that you're going to be stepping out into your own lives as young adults.
Congratulations, BISFA class of 2024.
Congratulations, the BISFA class of 2024.
Congratulations, BISFA class of 2024.
Congratulations, class of 2024. You've earned everything you've got so far, and there's so much more to achieve.
My name is Anne Schilling, Library Anne to some of you, and I want to welcome you to the podcast To the Writer and the Reader, Phantom Edition. I have been reading as long as I can remember, and I really appreciate with all of my being the craft of putting words together to create meaning, which can be inspiring or appalling or any kind of emotion, but mostly makes me a better person and helps me to connect to the world around me. So this is the writer who we are speaking with today, Angel. And would you like to say hello and tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Angel Scott. I'm a rising senior at Barbara Ingram in creative writing. And I've grown up with Native American customs and traditions. My grandfather was almost fully Native American. And this piece that we're going to be reading is dedicated to him and to my ancestors. So I've been writing since as I can remember. I wrote my dad a book when I was like 5 that was called Because Your Daughter Loves You. So ever since I can remember.
So you knew at a very young age that this words to paper thing was gonna...
Yeah, I've always loved it. Even if I didn't know I was going to be a writer then, I've definitely always loved writing.
Okay, so let's dive into this just a little bit before we read the essay, because I had shared with you, surprise to me, that this essay was going to be Native American in its nature, which I love Native American storytelling because, traditionally we look at European style of story, rising action, climax, falling action, pretty linear. But in Native American, all across the North American tribal lands, stories are circular, and they don't begin and they don't end, and they go around and they connect here and there. So to find out that this is part of who you are and these stories you write, that is fabulous to me. There was a question you wanted to ask in there somewhere. So I guess, can you talk a little bit about the importance of storytelling for you and your family?
Yeah, so my grandfather was a huge storyteller. Every time I would visit him, I'd get at least 2 to 5, every time. And since I've grown up, I've had so many Native American legends and fables been told to me. The most significant was Don't Whistle at Night. And that's incorporated a lot in this piece because if you whistle at night, it says the evil spirits come to take you away. So that's one of the most prevalent in my life. My grandfather also donated to a lot of tribes, and he would always give me the dream catchers they set. And that's always been very prevalent. I still have his dream catcher hanging at the bottom of my bed. So it's always been a big part of my life.
So I'm going to tell you something. I too have a dream catcher hanging at the end of my bed. So let's share what a dream catcher is and why it's significant.
Yeah. So a dream catcher is what you put it at the bottom of your bed, or you can put it at the top, but typically the bottom is where you put it. And it's for the bad dreams to go through, for your dreams to go through, and it catches all the bad dreams, so you only have good ones.
And I'm going to ask you to read that last line first in just a minute. So the poem again is called 1802 to 2018. When I read the last line, I had never heard it before. And I didn't know, because of how it reads, if it was something you had written or if it was a nod to a quote or a fable or something like that. So I researched it. And I found that globally, like Japan, Germany, South American tribes, other places around the world have the same saying of don't whistle at night, or don't ring a bell at night, or don't draw attention to yourself at night, which I was completely unfamiliar with. So we're going to start with the end. Can you read the last line? And that way our listeners can hear what we're talking about.
Our superstition becomes certainty. Stay wary from the whistles within wandering nights.
Really sounds beautiful when you just read it. And what does it mean to you?
This line, this was what I started with. This is how I started my piece. And this piece is called a sestina. So there are 6 words that's repeated in a different order for each of the stanzas. And those 6 words are being stolen, beneath reservations, and wandering nights. And you'll hear those repeated throughout the piece each time I read a stanza. So with this, I wanted to incorporate wandering and nights, and that's how I started the ending of that line. And then I was like, well, I've had this tradition instilled in me since I was little. And how do I connect that to what's happening on the reservation and what's happening to Native American people? And so I thought, well, if you whistle at night, these evil spirits are going to take you away, just like other men typically are taking away natives from the reservation. And that's how this whole line started and how the whole piece became started, because I wanted to emphasize how terrible it is that it's not being said enough that Native women keep getting stolen.
Angel, would you read the Sistine for us?
Yes, thank you. 1802-2018. We must protect the forest for our children, grandchildren, and children yet to be born. We must protect the forest for those who can't speak for themselves, such as the birds, animals, fish, and trees. That's from Chief Edward Moon. Native land has never been returned. Our ancestors' ashes lay agitated beneath concrete and meadow lining the remains of our tribal homes. Stolen. We were once secure from the spirits, talismans left hanging through the night, protection from the dreams of a life forced to the confines of the res. Native women left victims to cypress silhouettes, their children left wandering. Secured to plot, scraps for the savages, assured we were not human beings. My father loved firewater. He would tip back vodka in hopes of losing his being. It's said that natives have a low tolerance, a note my father drowned beneath. Forgetting he had a daughter who needed him, restricting his hippocampus, stopped the wandering, he pleaded, and sobbed on my bedroom floor, begging the spirits for his memories to be stolen. Indians can't drink on the res, declared colonizers. Less disorder, more compliance. My dad wouldn't have survived one night. I was told stories of our tribe when I was a child. The quiet nights led to deep dreams of turquoise pendants decorating my spiritual being. I still dream of turquoise, but the kind sold for wealth. Sold like the little girls off the res, still wearing tribal paint from the last powwow, slipping from their parents' grasp. Buried beneath the feet that dance to celebrate their spirits. Too many little Native girls left stolen. Too many little Native girls left wandering. My grandfather always yearned to go home to our people. When he passed, I was left wondering. Why can't we live amongst Mother Nature and drift asleep to the returning of starry nights? Why was my Native history lost? Why did our tribes dissipate into nothing but land stolen? Why have I been directed to forget parts of me, parts of my being? Why are natives only ever seen beneath the white man? Why were we left for a life secured to the res? I've been reading about my ancestors since I was young, learning about the residential schools where children's native spirits were forced to wander because our long braids and savage spirits were only ever seen as beneath. The first time I read an account of life in the schools, anger filled my throat the entire night, and bile rose as an attempt to flush it out, but nothing stopped the fury. The white man's being has only hurt us, and part of me is that white man. And it feels like my native part is once again stolen. Powwows are sacred, honoring life and death, honoring the people and practices once stolen. One day I'll go home and dance in a powwow. I'll migrate to the sacred lands on the res. I'll help the grandmothers with their beadwork and fry bread. I'll learn about my own indigenous being. I'll finally learn what it's like to live amongst my people, to stop wandering and wishing to meet people of my culture, growing up with burning white sage at night and the melody of drum circles, each thump hinting that our heritage will never be beneath. My sisters are being stolen, robbed from beneath reservations. Our superstition becomes certainty. Stay wary from the whistles within wandering nights. Thank you.
So one thing I've discovered about your writing is it lifts me up and crashes me down, depending on what line that we're reading. So I wanted to talk about one of my favorite lines. Like it was the first time I read it, the line that lifted me. Okay. And it was, I was told stories of our tribes when I was a child, quiet nights, lead to deep dreams of turquoise pendants decorating my spiritual being. Now, having grown up in the Southwest myself, I know that turquoise is a life stone because it can change and transform colors. It's also known as sky stone because of the different colors, sky stone, the different colors. So I was wondering, in your mind, what would a dream of turquoise pendants be?
Yeah, so I was really inspired by powwows, and I'm actually going to my first powwow this summer. My mom's finally taking me. I'm so excited. And some of the traditional clothing you'll see is they have their ribbon skirts, they have their pendants, and the ones that mean the most to them. For me, I was always taught about turquoise, and all I want is a turquoise. And I've even, like, when I get married in the future, I want my ring to be turquoise, not diamonds or anything. And I think that's so important to me because it shows how Natives' resilience in those times, because we sold turquoise to get by. We still sell turquoise to get by. And it's something that we can craft to any shape, craft to be wolves, bears, anything. And it's so important to each individual Native because it is crafted for them. And I think that's what makes it so important to me, is because my grandmother told me whenever I got my first piece, it would be crafted specifically for me. And I would dream of having this pendant that was just perfect for me. And that's why it's so important to me personally.
I had pictured floating through the sky, asleep, peaceful sleep. You have turquoise nails. I want to point that out too. She's got the turquoise nails. So then there's the next line after that. Bam. I still dream of turquoise, but the kind sold for wealth and sold for the little girls off the res. And I would just want to take a moment to pause and acknowledge that there has been great loss on our land of tribal people and tribal culture.
Yes. I think that's one of the most impactful things to me, is that during the time of residential schools, like I mentioned in my piece, is that Natives were literally stripped from their culture. If you spoke a lick of your language, if you had your hair braided, you'd have to hold hot coals in your hand. And that breaks my heart. Like, every time I think about it, like I referenced, I just want to throw up, because the stripping of something from someone that is so important to who they are, I don't understand how people can do that. And it's still happening till this day. People are trying to cut down reservations. They're trying to take more Native land. And Native people already are paying one tub of Nutella, 20 some bucks for it. The groceries on the res are so expensive. And I don't understand how people can just destroy Native tradition like that.
And let's not even start talking about clean water.
Right, exactly.
So, and yeah, capitalism,
It's crazy.
Then later you write another one of my favorite lines, an uplifting line, and it's, one day I will go home and dance at the powwow, which you're going to do. And I want to tell you that Tommy Orange, one of my favorite writers, wrote an entire novel called They're There, which is all about tribal people finding home.
Yeah.
Together in the powwow. But what a struggle it is, because home and culture has been pushed back on so hard. So that's a great book I read that line reminded me of. And I actually think that's a beautiful line of hope.
I remember the first time that I heard a Native song. I lost it. I started bawling my eyes out. I was like, this makes me feel home. This makes me understand my people. And it was, the lyrics are, "You Indian girl, you're one of a kind." And that just, I broke down, and I was like, this is what we need to get out there more. We need to get out our music. We need to invite more people to our powwow and stuff like that. And I love Native tradition. It's really one of the things that stuck with me.
Well, I think I said it, maybe or hinted at earlier, I grew up in the Southwest. So powwows are annual, but I'm not Native, so I'm always just the tourist. but I really love the beauty of the people and the culture. What is something you would like the reader to take with them from this writing that you have created?
Well, okay, one thing I want to point out is the title. And I spent a lot of time, originally the title was Sacred Lands, Sacred People, Sacred Lands, something along the lines of that. And while I liked that, sacred is often referred to in Native American literature. It's often used. And I wanted to use something that was more personal to me and personal to my piece. So 1802, this was referenced in the second stanza. And that was the year that alcohol was wiped from the res. No natives were allowed to drink because then they wouldn't be as productive and they wouldn't be working on goods and stuff. 2018 was the year my father died from alcohol poisoning. And I think that's why a lot of people won't understand that from reading it first through. But this was something that I spent a lot of time thinking about. It was something my teacher really helped me with because that connection there really just shows how we've come as Native people. And my father, while he didn't embrace his culture, my grandfather did. And if it weren't for my grandfather, I wouldn't even have known. So it's like that title means so much to me. And I want the reader to take that with them, that we spent so much time fighting for something, and now that we have it, it's destroying us. And I feel like we finally got our land back on the res, but people are being stolen off of it. Like there's nothing you can really do to help.
We're spending so much time fighting for something that is now destroying us. And that's not just in Native culture. I think that's a think about for humanity.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time. I have one more question. It's kind of a general question, but for anyone out there who may feel like writing for themselves or for others is something they want to do, a way to express themselves, what advice do you have to give for the upcoming writers?
This is my favorite thing to talk about because I do interviews for the creative writers. I teach the exploration program, and I also made the lesson plans this year. I also did the introducing night to the new creative writers. So talking about writing, my favorite thing ever. And for me, what's most important is anyone can be a writer. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't even matter if you have paper and a pencil. You can find some way to write. Learning how to write good is also really important, though. And I think you can write down what you want and you can write down your experiences, but also having other people around you to teach you how to write, to help your writing expand, that's the most important thing to me. If it weren't for my peers in creative writing, my pieces wouldn't be half as good as they are now. The time we take to critique one another's pieces, to help one another, is so, so important. And having that writing community is probably one of the most significant things.
Well, writers, listen up, because there are readers out there who need to hear your words. And as a reader, I thank you with all my heart and soul, because I am a better person for having the gift of the words that you've put together for this piece.
Thank you so much. I always love talking about my writing.
Thank you.
Thank you.